Myra, a young girl, died of heart disease. Her parents, consumed by grief, brought her body home for burial. But that night, her mother heard a voice from beneath the earth. "Mother, I'm so cold." And a whisper, a demon hidden in the ashes of the hearth. "I can help you resurrect your daughter. In return, I demand human lives and fresh blood." Mono, Bell, Yi, Mo, Beige, Bellings. From that day on, bizarre deaths plagued the village. Bodies were drained of blood, vanishing without a trace, leaving only the metallic tang of rust. The mother believed her daughter had returned, but the entity, masquerading as Myra, only laughed in the dead of night, whispering, "Mother, I am not Myra. I am the gift you exchanged for human blood." Life and death, sickness and health are not hard to find. They exist right here, in hospitals, where doctors and nurses tirelessly fight to snatch patients from the grasp of death. Outside an emergency room, the air hung heavy with worry. A couple in their 50s paced restlessly. Inside, their 20-year-old daughter had suddenly collapsed from a heart condition at 4 a.m. Both were tense, their gazes darting towards the room. The glass was too foggy to see anything within, amplifying their anxiety. It wasn't until 7 a.m. that the emergency room light finally dimmed. A doctor emerged. Eleanor, the wife, eagerly tugged her husband's arm. "Look, the doctor's out." The doctor bowed, his voice heavy with sorrow. "I'm so sorry we couldn't save your daughter. No, my Myra." Eleanor rushed forward, grasping the doctor's hand, pleading, "Doctor, she's our only child, our comfort in old age. Now that she's gone, what will we do? Please, doctor, try harder. I'll pay any amount. I'll sell everything we own if I have to. Please, doctor." Daniel was about to say more when the doctor interrupted, taking both their hands. "Sir, ma'am, even billionaires cannot escape life and death. Please, don't grieve too much, or her soul might linger. We've already covered her with a white sheet. Please, come in to see her one last time before we proceed with the arrangements." Eleanor, utterly shocked, snarled, "How much money do you need? Do you think we can't afford it?" Daniel flinched, pinching his wife's arm. "Are you mad?" The doctor did everything he could. "Why are you talking like that?" Eleanor remained stubborn. "I know exactly what you people want." "Be quiet. Be quiet." Daniel turned to apologize to the doctor on his wife's behalf. After the doctor and nurses left, the couple hurried into the room to see their daughter one last time. As soon as Eleanor entered, she pulled back the white sheet. The beautiful Myra's pale face was revealed, cold as a corpse. Eleanor embraced her daughter's body, weeping inconsolably. Seeing this, Daniel, choked with emotion, said, "All right, let's take her home." In just an hour, all formalities were completed. Myra's body was taken home. Throughout the journey, Eleanor wept ceaselessly, clinging to her daughter's body. Finally, they arrived home. A modest house with tiled walls and a roof, nestled beside a cornfield. They had moved here long ago, not originally from this region, perhaps partly due to Eleanor. Daniel, her husband, was a healer who often treated people without ever charging the poor. He was gentle and kind-hearted, respected by all, young and old. His wife, however, was an overbearing woman. She used to sell turmeric powder, but was caught in fraudulent dealings, losing all credibility. She and Daniel had to flee and settle here. Yet, her nature remained unchanged wherever they went. In this area, only one neighbor, Mrs. Grace, was sociable and cared for their family. Because of his good nature, Daniel was simply known as the healer. Of course, his work often led to disagreements between the couple, but they still loved each other dearly and had their beautiful daughter, Myra. Sadly, that girl was no more, having drawn her last breath without a chance to see her loved ones. Nearing noon, everything for Myra's burial was ready. Eleanor sat beside her daughter's wooden coffin in the corner of the house, like a soul lost. Daniel approached, gently saying, "Eleanor, aren't you going to get ready? We have to bury our little girl at 4 this afternoon." As if waking from a nightmare, Eleanor retorted, "Bury what? She's not dead. Are you out of your mind?" "Don't be like that. She's just sleeping. She'll be back with us today. Come on, Eleanor, you know we don't associate with anyone because of your temper, so now there's no one to say goodbye to our girl." It was true. Though people admired Daniel, his wife was a difficult, unapproachable obstacle, so no one dared to visit. Yet, at that very moment, their neighbor, Mrs. Grace, arrived with a basket of fruit and fresh flowers. Daniel quietly urged, "Look, at least Mrs. Grace is here. Can you go greet her?" Eleanor smoothed her disheveled hair, still wet from tears. She said nothing, only went downstairs to wash her face, then brought up a pot of tea. "Healer and his wife, are you home? I've brought some things to pay my respects to little Myra." A poor child. Daniel warmly accepted the gift basket and thanked her. After a moment, Eleanor spoke. "Thank you for coming to bid her farewell, but she's not dead." "Eleanor, stop it!" Daniel snapped. Eleanor fell silent, strangely, and walked straight to the back of the house, whereas normally she would have argued. Daniel was puzzled. "Aren't you going to say goodbye to Mrs. Grace?" Seeing this, Mrs. Grace said, "She must be too shocked. Don't worry, I'll go check on her." Mrs. Grace followed her to the back of the house. As soon as she entered, she saw Eleanor sitting by a loom. There wasn't a single thread on the loom, yet Eleanor sat weaving as if it were real. Mrs. Grace felt both pity and amusement, so she gently patted her friend's back. "Eleanor, are you weaving fabric for Myra?" Eleanor nodded without answering. Mrs. Grace continued, "You know, she's gone. Are you going to bury her, cremate her, or take her ashes to the temple?" "Never. My family has always buried our dead. No cremation, no taking her anywhere." This time, Eleanor finally spoke, her voice sharp, silencing Mrs. Grace. She continued, "That's right. I know she's dead, but she will come back to life." "Eleanor, don't lose your mind. You'll really go crazy." "Mrs. Grace, thank you for coming to say goodbye. But my little girl will return, I'm sure of it. I care for your family. That's why I came to advise you. Yet you yell at me. Don't forget." I'm your only friend. Yes, I know. Thank you very much. But you know my temper. I didn't mean anything by it. I'm so tired today. Let's play cards another time. I know your temper. That's why I'm still here. All right. I'm going home now. Be careful on your way back. After Mrs. Grace left, the house was again enveloped in a desolate, chilling silence, as if the negative energy of death had settled in. Even the sky that day turned an inky black, not a single ray of sun piercing the thick shroud of clouds. Clouds of mourning, clouds of death, shrouded a quiet corner of the house beside their daughter's coffin. Incense smoke billowed silently, without fanfare or visitors, only the dim oil lamp illuminating the white flowers in a vase, from which a withered petal occasionally fell to the ground. Every moment passed in solemn quiet. As one stick of incense burned out, Daniel lit another, the smoke continuing to rise as if mocking their pain. It was nearly 3 p.m. Eleanor, utterly exhausted, had drifted off to sleep. Startled, she awoke to the sound of Daniel making a phone call outside. She sat up listening. This afternoon, exactly at 4, children, please come help your teacher bury little Myra. After that, she couldn't hear clearly, her ears ringing from just waking up. She rushed outside, but found no sign of her husband, only her daughter lying in the small, new house. She poured herself a glass of water from the table and drank it in one gulp to quench her thirst. That's right. Consumed by grief, both of them had skipped lunch, and now she felt a gnawing hunger. She went into the kitchen to make some food. Though often abrupt with her husband, she deeply loved him and was a capable wife, preparing every meal meticulously. But today, as she went to the kitchen to cut vegetables, she accidentally cut her hand. Blood flowed onto the floor. Panic. She wrapped a soft cloth around it, completely forgetting to wipe the bloodstains. Remembering only her rumbling stomach, she returned with her bandaged hand and continued preparing noodles for them both. She carefully brought the noodles out as if nothing had happened, and the bloodstain on the floor had mysteriously vanished. Back in the front of the house, she began to eat her noodles, not seeing her husband, so she didn't call for him. She ate the entire bowl of noodles, her stomach full. With her hunger satisfied, her mind became idle. She looked at her daughter's coffin again, lost in thought, and the sadness returned. She sighed. Seeing the incense stick about to burn out, she meticulously lit another. A moment later, Daniel returned from outside. She pointed to the bowl of noodles and asked, "Where have you been?" "I went to call some of my students to help with our daughter's burial." "Wait, are you really going to bury her? Are you insane? What do you do with the dead if not bury them?" "No, it's not that, but I have a feeling she's not dead." "Could you open the coffin lid so I can see her?" Daniel, who was eating his noodles, choked and coughed a few times before answering, "My God, you really have lost your mind." "You're not going to help me, are you?" she said. Her voice agreed. Daniel reluctantly indulged his wife one last time. They both approached the coffin. But even though it was the cheapest kind, the lid was quite heavy for Daniel. He couldn't lift it. Eleanor, annoyed, snapped, "Move aside." Eleanor approached, and with surprising ease, opened the coffin lid, leaving Daniel stunned and utterly bewildered. How are you so strong? I don't know, I just suddenly feel very strong. But never mind that. Let me see our daughter. Opening the lid, she saw her daughter's body had begun to turn a greenish hue. Veins and muscles stood out in a grotesque color, a sign that decomposition was about to begin. A strong stench of decay wafted from the coffin. Seeing her stare for too long, Daniel urged, "All right, quickly close the lid, or the corpse's fumes will make us sick and die." Daniel's voice startled Eleanor, making her almost stumble into the coffin. She irritably closed the lid, but didn't argue with him. He then asked, "Well, do you believe it now? It's almost 4 o'clock. The students should be arriving soon. Get ready to send our daughter off." Eleanor, disappointed, hesitated. Yes. Wait. What are you hiding?" Eleanor gripped her daughter's coffin, startled and almost falling. Seeing this, Daniel grew even more suspicious and stepped closer. But even with the coffin lid closed, the smell of death still lingered in the room, making it unbearable for him. He had to rush outside. Yet his wife merely watched him, unfazed by the dreadful odor. Just as Daniel reached the door, his students arrived. If not for his profession as a healer, no one would have come to their aid. 4 strong young men prepared to carry Myra's coffin on their shoulders. Daniel stood at the head of the coffin, directing them to take it to the back of the house. By now, Eleanor held a black umbrella to shield from the sun, and a bowl of fresh flowers in her other hand, walking leisurely behind. She seemed much more composed than in the morning. "Det är så väldigt dislåt. Besatt in your life." She seemed much more composed than in the morning. Was it shock, or had she truly accepted the truth? A moment later, everyone had gathered at the final resting place. The poor girl's coffin was carried to the backyard. Everything was rather makeshift, as they had few acquaintances. All rituals stemmed from the heart, no longer mere formalities. The coffin was lowered into the earth. The couple scattered chrysanthemum and marigold petals, then filled the grave with soil. Myra had found her peace. Finally, everything was done, happening remarkably quickly. Daniel thanked his students and offered each a small amount of money, but they refused. One of them, speaking for the group, said, "Teacher, you are like a father to us, so this is only natural. Please keep it to care for yourself and your family. We'll be heading home now." Hearing such words, Daniel was deeply moved. He had cried earlier from losing his daughter. Now, he couldn't hold back tears of joy for having such good students. He could only embrace each of them before they bid farewell to the couple and left. Night fell. If not for the clock chiming 11 times, no one would know how late it was. The couple's home was terribly dreary. The electricity was out tonight, with only a flickering oil lamp providing faint light. On Myra's makeshift altar were 2 large candles, bright enough to clearly illuminate a picture of the beautiful girl smiling sweetly. It was a cruel irony. The more sorrow Daniel felt, the brighter the girl in the picture smiled, deepening his grief. As for Eleanor, he now noticed her more keenly, wondering why she no longer wept. He secretly thought he was weaker than her. Perhaps it was good this way. They would overcome it together. Suddenly, he stopped his thoughts when he saw his wife take another lamp and head to the kitchen. he asked. Eleanor. It's late. Why aren't you going to sleep? I have to make some dinner. But we already ate, didn't we? Dinner for Myra. Hearing those words, he realized she hadn't forgotten or accepted the truth. Perhaps she had lost her mind. But what could he do? He had no choice but to pretend to humor the only wife he had left. All right, dear, finish cooking then. Come to bed. I am so sleepy. Dear, today has been too exhausting. I know. You go to sleep first. Lying in bed, Daniel tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Despite being utterly exhausted and longing for sleep, his eyes remained wide open. He also caught the rich aroma of food wafting from the kitchen. Ishendel Billy died, he sighed, then hugged his pillow and turned his face to the wall. Just then, the bedroom door opened, and Eleanor stepped in. He quickly turned. Are you done? Yes, I'm finished. It's very late. We should sleep now. His wife meticulously pulled the blanket over him, then lay down herself. Only with her by his side could he sleep. Perhaps he had been too anxious from overthinking. Now, he could finally enjoy a good night's rest. As soon as he closed his eyes, he fell into a deep sleep. Beside him, his wife lay motionless and still. A moment later, she turned onto her side, facing the wall. Whether asleep or not, he couldn't tell. His steady snoring began, a testament to his deep slumber. Daniel slept a truly profound sleep. Suddenly, he awoke with a start. Groping for his wife in his groggy state, he only found a pillow. His wife was gone. He quickly sat up, grabbed the flashlight from his bedside table, and left the room to look for her. He decided to remain silent, tiptoeing like a cat into the living room. He shone the flashlight on the clock. The hands pointed to nearly 12 o'clock. Beside it was his daughter's altar. His house always turned off all lights at bedtime, so only the candlelight on the altar remained. Walking past it, he intended to continue, but then paused, startled, to examine the picture. In the dim light of the two candles, he thought he glimpsed something red, like blood, at the corner of the eye in the photograph. He rushed closer, but saw the portrait was normal. He touched his forehead, thinking he must have a fever and was hallucinating. He needed to find his wife quickly. With only the two of them left, he couldn't rest easy if she wasn't there. He also wanted to know what was happening to her. He remembered earlier that afternoon, she had hidden something on her person that he hadn't had a chance to ask about. He stopped to light an incense stick for his daughter, then hurried off to find his wife. Passing the kitchen, he saw a dim oil lamp glowing faintly behind the transparent glass. He knew she was in there. Peering in, he saw no one but the oil lamp, nearly empty. He opened the door, flashlight in hand, and stepped inside, finding the kitchen in disarray, cooking oil splattered everywhere. He grabbed a nearby cloth to clean up, when he heard a strange noise from the living room. The sound, fluctuating between soft and loud, was very peculiar. He quickly abandoned the mess and ran to the living room. He was startled to see an unusually large rat on his daughter's altar, gnawing at everything. He angrily rushed to chase it away, but it showed no fear of humans. He thought, what kind of rat is this big? Then saw it scurry behind Myra's picture to hide. He ran to get a stick to chase it, but when he returned, it was gone. It was then he remembered he was looking for his wife. He searched the entire house and found a faint light in the storage room. He went towards it, but the light seemed to move and then vanished. Although slightly afraid because everything was happening strangely and eerily, his curiosity urged him on. He gently pushed open the storage room door. Inside, he saw a plate and a bowl, leftover food, still warm, as if someone had just eaten. He chua kip ni jidan. Jidan yetai, tieng noi kua, ba vo ofia trong. Their storage room was very large, as he'd kept various medicines there for a long time. Inside the storage room was another small room filled with miscellaneous items. Knowing his wife was there, his fear subsided, and he walked straight in. After a moment, he saw the oil lamp again. His wife was definitely in here. He flung open the door to the final room. The scene before him filled him with horror. In the dim lamplight, his wife held a blood-stained cleaver, blood dripping onto the floor. Beside her lay a dismembered corpse, hidden behind several of his medicine crates. Eleanor, you killed someone. He was about to scream when she, startled, threw a pouch of white powder at him. White smoke billowed, and his mind suddenly reeled. On the ground lay a black-covered book with ancient red script. He swayed, hearing his wife's voice resonate. I am a kind, capable wife. I haven't killed anyone. I am a good wife, a good mother. As if hypnotized, he repeated after her. Yes, you are a good person, a good wife. Wife! Immediately, he collapsed to the ground, unconscious. It turned out that book was a grimoire of dark magic. Before marrying him, she was a descendant of an ancient witch lineage. She had once used dark arts, harming people, to practice her spells. But upon meeting him, love had changed her. He knew her past well and thought he could reform his wife. However, he never imagined that after decades of silence, she still hadn't abandoned black magic. That book was not just a family heirloom. It also held a terrifying secret. Wherever the book was, a demon would guard it. It would stay close, waiting for an opportunity to incite its keeper to do its bidding. Perhaps for decades, she had truly forgotten those dark things until that afternoon, when she was in the kitchen and cut her hand. Blood spilled onto the floor. When she returned to clean up, she discovered something strange. The bloodstains had almost vanished. She observed closely and saw a demon, shaped like a rat with sharp claws and a human-like face, crawl out from the ashes of the hearth. It approached the remaining blood, its long, gecko-like tongue flicking out to lick it clean. She was stunned when it spoke, and even called her name. You saw everything, didn't you? Come here, I will help you. Your daughter will come back to life at midnight if you accept my conditions. Hearing this, she didn't hesitate and stepped closer. What conditions? To save your daughter, you must do these things. Every day you must take 3 drops of another person's blood for her to drink. When she is resurrected, her life will be extended without the need for food or water. The second condition is that after taking their blood, you must leave a portion of the flesh of the people you kill for me. Do you accept? Seeing its appearance, she remembered everything. Her family had once told stories of a cursed book, guarded by a demon. It possessed terrifying power. If held in one's hand, anything could be done. She then asked it, "Are you the demon guarding my family's ancient book?" "Yes. For years I have lived in these ashes, but did not wish to reveal myself. Now the time has come. We will cooperate for mutual benefit." "All right. I am a member of the lineage. I will cooperate with you. What must I do now?" The demon then gave her a packet of white powder and told her to sprinkle it on Myra's body in the coffin. Even if she had decomposed, she would be resurrected perfectly. So, the thing she had hidden from Daniel was this eerie powder, and the rat he saw on Myra's altar was, in fact, this very demon. The pact with the demon began then. As soon as the clock struck 12, signaling the time for the final task, according to the demon, Myra would be resurrected exactly at midnight. But during that time, the coffin lid had to be opened for the young energy to enter, for her to fully recover. Eleanor didn't hesitate further. She quickly grabbed the spade, propped in the corner of the house, and ran to where her unconscious husband lay. She said to the demon standing there, "Hey, you mustn't harm him. He is my husband." "Yes, I know." "Hurry now. Bring your daughter up here." "Yeah. Rest assured, I'll take care of him." After that, she ran as fast as she could with the spade to where her daughter was buried. With the strength granted by the demon, she became powerful, digging up the earth quickly in the dark night without a single light. Dirt and sand flew everywhere in the silent midnight. Only the sound of her spade striking the earth could be heard. Suddenly, the spade hit the coffin lid with a thud. Hearing the noise, Mrs. Grace's dog next door began to bark loudly. But Eleanor's work did not stop. She was overjoyed to have reached the grave. She quickly tossed the spade aside and dug with her bare hands. In the middle of the night, cold dew drifted like incense smoke, creating a ghostly, chilling atmosphere. The moon was out, but not very bright. Yet her newfound strength allowed her to see everything clearly in the dark. She began to use her ancient dark magic, chanting a spell that caused the coffin to rise. As the coffin lid became visible on the ground, the dog's barking grew more chaotic. She opened the coffin lid and threw it to the ground. As soon as it opened, a surge of red smoke poured out, ascended into the air, and vanished. A human skeleton sat upright in the coffin, startling the birds in the nearby treetops. The neighbor's dog squeezed through the fence, running towards her and the skeleton. It barked incessantly. She glared at it, muttering, "Could it have tricked me?" No sooner had she finished speaking than the skeleton collapsed back down. She approached, looking into the coffin. Inside, it wasn't dark at all, but glowed with a faint mystical red light. Smoke still rose from beneath. She saw clearly that Myra was intact, with no signs of decomposition as seen that afternoon. Her skin was pale, greenish white, like someone anemic. Her lips ashen, as if just pulled from a barrel of herbal water. She couldn't hold back her tears, reaching out to touch her daughter. Receiving human warmth, Myra slowly opened her eyes. Her skin, initially ice cold, now warmed surprisingly. She sat up from the coffin, eyes unblinking, bewildered as someone waking from a trance. The dog lunged, barking, startling Myra, and making her tremble with fear. Eleanor angrily yelled, "Get away! Get away!" The dog remained persistent. Furious, she immediately picked up the spade she had tossed earlier and struck the dog. It only managed a single yelp of pain before dropping dead, blood spilling onto the ground. Myra was no longer afraid, but now whimpered faintly, like someone mute. Eleanor called out to Myra, unable to hold back any longer. She called her name, but Myra remained silent. She had to call again, and Myra twitched, then blinked like a normal person. The putrid smell of decomposition vanished completely, replaced by the suffocating scent of ashes. Myra, now like an innocent child, smiled and said, "Mother." Eleanor joyfully embraced Myra, and so Myra, the girl, was resurrected. Her mother took her hand and pulled her out of the coffin. Myra came to her mother and hugged her even tighter. But just then, her mother said, "All right, there's not much time left. Hurry and come inside with mother to drink blood." Before the mother and daughter could enter the house, the coffin suddenly crashed back into the grave with a thud. Instantly, Mrs. Grace's house lights flickered on. Then she came out with a flashlight. The mother and daughter quickly ran and hid in a nearby banana grove. Fortunately, from Mrs. Grace's house, they couldn't see the coffin or them, as a thick patch of reeds obscured them. Mrs. Grace shone her flashlight for a while, then went back inside and turned off the lights to sleep. Only then could Eleanor breathe a sigh of relief. She told her daughter to come inside. Myra said nothing, only smiled and nodded, then followed her mother into the storage room. Eleanor brought out a basin of blood and scooped a small spoonful. She turned to ask the demon, "Is it all right if she drinks more than 3 drops of blood?" "No problem. 3 drops of blood sustain life for 1 day. Drinking more won't extend it further." "Understood." Eleanor was truly relieved to hear this and called Myra. The girl didn't hesitate to open her mouth, and her mother fed her 3 spoonfuls of blood. After Myra drank, her skin not only became warmer, but also turned rosy, full of vitality. It seemed she already knew everything, showing no reaction at the sight of the strange demon next to her father. At this, the demon laughed and said, "Excellent. 3 drops a day is enough. Now, this part is for me, is it not?" Saying this, it dragged the human corpse from behind the medicine crates, slowly opened its mouth wide, and devoured the entire body, chewing ravenously. It then put its mouth to the remaining blood in the basin and sucked it clean, satiated. The mother and daughter could only thank it, silently watching it leave the storage room and vanish. The next morning, Daniel awoke with an excruciating headache. He found himself lying in bed, startled as he vaguely remembered leaving the room last night to find his wife. How did he end up here? What happened after that? He couldn't recall at all. All memories of the previous night had been erased. Just then, Eleanor brought in a bowl of hot porridge and said, "You're awake, are you?" Daniel replied, confused. "What do you mean? What happened to me?" "You had a high fever last night and fainted. Don't you remember?" "I had a high fever. Why don't I remember anything? My head hurts so much." "Don't worry. I've sent Myra to the market to buy medicine for you." Wait. Have you lost your mind? She's dead. You're truly forgetful, aren't you?" Have you forgotten that our little girl woke up right after we prepared to take her home? What are you talking about? I don't understand anything. Father, I'm home. Hearing Myra's voice, it was indeed his daughter. He was surprised to see the girl actually walk into the room with fever medicine in her hand. Myra wore a black hooded jacket, her head completely covered to shield her from the sun. Even though it was summer and the house was stifling hot like a furnace, she didn't take it off. Daniel understood nothing and grew even more confused. Was Myra's death just a nightmare? A delirium caused by a high fever? That's what he thought, unaware that Eleanor had used a spell for Myra to remain indoors without being detected. Although he didn't understand what was happening, he thought that for now, having his family complete was joy enough. He looked at his daughter, a loving smile on his face. Thank you, my dear. Give that to father. Yes. Myra then gently left the room, and Eleanor stayed to diligently care for him. He didn't think any further, his head aching too much, and he obediently let his wife feed him each spoonful of porridge like a child. As he was almost finished with a bowl of porridge, preparing to take his medicine, he said, Wait for what? There's just a little left. Try to eat more to recover quickly. Wait for me a moment. Where are you going? You're sick. Despite the lingering pain, he tried to go outside to recheck Myra's altar from last night. He stepped out and was startled to see that the altar's location was now an ordinary table adorned with fresh flowers. No portrait or anything resembling an altar. Just then, his wife ran after him. Daniel remembered burying his daughter in the backyard, so he rushed there. When he arrived, he was horrified to see that the burial site from yesterday was now a flourishing banana tree, as if it had grown there for a long time. It was then that he believed everything had just been a nightmare. He sighed in relief and went back inside. Eleanor was very satisfied that she had managed to arrange everything in time, making her husband believe absolutely that Myra's death was merely a bad dream of his. Meanwhile, in her private room, Myra kept looking at herself in the mirror. Her room was always dark, day or night. The room faced away from the light, always gloomy and cold. She stood before the mirror, her eyes distant, admiring herself with her beautiful rosy skin. She continued to gaze at her face, then suddenly smiled and spoke. She doesn't know I'm not her daughter. Then her smile caused her reflection in the mirror to blur. No longer Myra. She continued, Thank you for your compassion. Thank you for your motherly love, through which I have come into this world. I have gained a beautiful new form, Myra's form. Just wait and see what I will do with this beautiful identity of Myra. Aha! Unbelievably, thinking she had resurrected her daughter, Eleanor had unwittingly resurrected a guarding demon and brought it home as her child. The demon in Myra's body. The fake Myra remained in her room, admiring herself in the mirror like a narcissist. Suddenly, her mother entered, and the reflection in the mirror returned to normal. Eleanor carried a bag of items and told her daughter, Tonight is the second day. You must continue to drink human blood to sustain your life. Before that, Mother must go find someone to catch. Remember not to leave the house while Father is still home. You can only go out when Father and I are in the garden. But you must avoid places with sunlight. Those were the demon's instructions to Mother. Absolutely. Do not take off this hooded jacket, as sunlight will destroy your demon soul. Mother knows you are not human, but you are still my daughter. Only when night falls can you be free. Now, Mother must go to the strawberry farm. The fake Myra did not reply, only smiled. Her mother left to do her usual work. The couple had a strawberry farm on the hill behind their house. But today, Daniel was ill, so Eleanor had to go alone. After her mother left, the demon within Myra's body made her pick up a sharp knife and cut a line on her finger. Waiting for the blood to flow, it flicked it onto the mirror. The blood ran in a line, then suddenly seemed to seep deep into the mirror and vanish. Finally, there was the mischievous giggle of a female demon. Time passed quickly. The sun was finally setting behind the hills. Night was about to fall upon the village. Daniel was still deeply asleep since noon after taking his medicine. As for the fake Myra, when the sun was about to set and the daylight faded, she was no longer in her room. At the same time, her mother returned from the farm. As soon as she got back, she rushed to her husband's room to check on him. Seeing him sleeping soundly, she felt relieved and went to her daughter's room to find Myra. Eleanor tiptoed into her room. The sun had fully set, and deep darkness had fallen. She held a flashlight in her hand, muttering, "Why is it so quiet? Is the child in her room?" Curiously, she pulled open the wooden door, which creaked eerily. She shone the light inside, but didn't see her. She was about to call out when Myra appeared from behind her. She asked, "Where are you going, Mother?" "Mother is going to catch someone. You stay home and take care of Father, all right?" "Don't worry, Mother." Myra obeyed, so Eleanor felt reassured and continued her dark work. Catching people was now much easier for her. Among her past crimes, there was a terrible one she had committed. But no one knew about it, and it happened before she married the current healer. More precisely, she had moved from village to village, and only when she reached her husband's village did the call of love make her stop. Life changed, and her crimes diminished. But she never repented. Her wicked nature remained unchanged despite decades passing. Now, on the desolate, mournful dirt road of the village, there was no moon that night, making the road even darker. She sat hidden in a bush, not daring to swat at the biting mosquitoes. As far as she knew, at this exact time, a boy from the upper village would be returning from extra classes. Being poor, he had to walk. She waited from 7:00 p.m. until nearly 8:00 p.m., but saw no sign of the student. She was about to doze off, but for her daughter's sake, she persevered. Although the area was deserted, there were still houses nearby, and even a small sound could alert residents and their dogs. Reluctantly, she could only shoo away the mosquito. At this moment, she was no different from a thief, and she was about to steal the life of a poor boy. At exactly 8 p.m., the air grew even more silent. She was dozing off in the bush when she was startled by voices from afar. It was the student talking to his mother, accompanied by the clatter of a bicycle. "Mother, why are you cycling me home today? Seeing you study so hard, son, I can't bear to let you get tired anymore. From now on, I'll take you to and from school. It's dangerous at night, my child." "Oh, It's been so long since I rode a bicycle. Come on, Mother, cycle faster. I'm so hungry. Then the mother's flashlight accidentally shone into the bush, blinding Eleanor. But the mother and son didn't notice, so they didn't see her. The bicycle passed by and vanished. After they were gone, she cursed under her breath. Damn it! All those hours of waiting for nothing. That boy was the easiest target, who would have thought. Saying this, she angrily stalked off. Having lost her prey, she took the knife she was holding and angrily slashed a tree branch. After walking for a while, she saw a man stumbling along. His distant silhouette showed he was wearing trousers and a white shirt, his legs crisscrossing, appearing to be drunk and returning from a night out. Now he was fumbling alone in the lightless night. She smirked. Indeed, heaven hasn't forsaken me. If I lose one prey, there's always another. Spotting her prey, she cautiously observed her surroundings. It was still deserted. No one else was around. Only this man walking on, unaware that death awaited him. At this moment, the man suddenly fell and began to cry. It seemed he had just been heartbroken or had some profound sorrow to be so drunk. She stood far away, unable to hear clearly, only knowing he was lamenting his fate. She approached, a knife hidden behind her back, walking leisurely as if nothing was amiss. When she got close, she saw the man was utterly intoxicated, his mind like that of a madman. She asked, "Who are you? Why are you sitting here crying?" His angry reply was, "What business is it of yours? Get lost!" Insolent brat. Is that how you speak to an elder? Hearing those words, he grew even more enraged, stood up, and yelled, "Are you my mother? Get lost, or I'll kill you." As he spoke, he pulled out a gleaming knife. A nearby house's lights spilled out, enough to show it was a sharp blade. She wasn't afraid, but pretended to be, cautiously walking away. She had only gone a short distance when he stumbled and fell face down, dropping the knife and collapsing, drunk to this extent. This was her chance. She didn't hesitate, glancing around to confirm it was still deserted. Instantly, she stomped on his head, making him cry out in pain and awaken with a start. But she had pressed his face into the ground, so he couldn't scream, only utter weak, muffled sounds. She used his own knife to end his life in silence. He writhed in a pool of blood, but the pain couldn't satisfy him because he couldn't scream. With a young man's strength, he could have overthrown her, but the alcohol in his system acted as a paralyzing agent. The young man lay suffering, unnoticed. When her prey was dead, she rejoiced, but she couldn't take the entire body back to the demon. At most, she could only take the head and blood for Myra first. She hastily removed his blood-soaked shirt to wrap the head, then chuckled to herself. As she prepared to return, an old man her age approached from ahead, startling her. She hid the head behind her back. She was horrified to see he had a flashlight. If he saw the body on the ground, it wouldn't be good. She flinched as he drew near, intending to flee, but she tripped, dropping the head to the ground where it rolled near the riverbank beside them. He had arrived. He was also drunk, but seemed more lucid than the previous man. She knew this, as she saw him walking and sipping from a half-empty bottle of liquor. She breathed a sigh of relief, knowing drunk eyes would be blurrier than usual, let alone in the dark of night, where even a flashlight couldn't reveal everything clearly. The man called out to her, "Hey, old woman, what are you doing here?" "I'm on an errand." "What's it to you? What are you holding in your hand?" "Old man, don't be so nosy. That's my business." "Stop." He ran and firmly grasped her hand, making her struggle angrily. The head fell out again, along with blood splattering on the ground. Even more enraged, she slapped him with all her might, but he was stubbornly persistent, still holding her hand tightly. She pulled with all her strength, and her ring slipped off. With that, he tumbled to the ground. She picked up the head and the knife, then ran home as fast as she could. The old man accidentally hit his head on the ground, passing out on the spot, next to the headless corpse and the pungent smell of blood in the middle of the road. The next morning, 2 early rising men discovered the body and the old man. They immediately reported it to the police. Promptly, the police arrived at the scene along with a commotion of villagers, among them the old man's son. He angrily rushed into the crowd, shaking his father awake. "Father, why are you sleeping in the middle of the road like this?" "Oh my God." A police officer immediately asked, realizing he was the old man's father. "Sir, are you aware there's been a murder here?" Because before his son arrived, the body had been covered with a white cloth, so he hadn't noticed. Hearing this, he was utterly horrified and asked again, "Here, officer?" "Yes. The crucial point is that the old man, your father, collapsed with the body, so he might know something about the perpetrator." The young man nodded, then turned to wake his father. The old man then regained consciousness and was questioned, but a woman suddenly interjected. "It seems he was drinking, so how can his testimony be reliable?" The police officer then said, "We have some clue." The old man then remembered what happened last night. "Last night, I met a suspicious woman." As soon as he finished speaking, the crowd began to murmur again. Heavens, the killer is a woman. Who could be so evil? "Everyone, please be quiet." The police officer's voice cut through, and they fell silent. He turned to the old man, who added, "I remember grabbing her hand, and then I accidentally pulled off a ring from her hand, I think. The ring must have still been in my hand when I fell to the ground and lost consciousness. That's all I remember. So, where is that ring?" Hearing this, he looked at his hand and saw the ring was gone. Around the area, even the crime scene, there was no ring to be found. So the woman from earlier interrupted again. "See? Clearly, he's so drunk his words might not be accurate. Look, there's no ring anywhere." The whole village buzzed with chatter again. "That's true. A ring doesn't have legs to run away." The police officer sighed, asked for order, then turned to the father and son. "All right, for now, I'd like to invite both of you to the station for more detailed statements." "All right." After that, the police dispersed the crowd to prepare to remove the body. The case was temporarily at a dead end. As the police car carrying the body drove away, the woman from earlier chuckled to herself. She was none other than Myra's mother, Eleanor. She waited for everyone to leave, before muttering, "Luckily, I still have my wits about me." Flashing back to the previous night, when she returned home with the man's head, she squeezed out blood for Myra to drink. Meanwhile, the demon crawled out from the ashes and asked, "Where is my flesh? Why did you only bring back the head?" It was then that Myra's mother remembered and told the demon to quickly help her retrieve the ring. As for the body, it would be its reward when the police could no longer investigate. As planned, everything was delayed. The case temporarily became a difficult puzzle for the village police. As per their agreement, on the way, the police were transporting the headless body from the scene. A sudden strong gust of wind blew the white sheet off the corpse. Everyone in the car was horrified. On the vehicle, the body was nothing more than a white skeleton, no more, no less. That was the demon, come to claim its portion. With the body gone, the investigation reached a complete dead end. No identification, nothing left, as everything had been in the shirt Eleanor had removed. It was impossible to identify who this person was, and this incident made them worried, thinking about the involvement of evil spirits. "Oh my God, why is it just bones?" A female nurse in the police car, utterly shocked, screamed in panic, further stirring the already tense atmosphere. The police had to pick up the sheet and cover the skeleton. They couldn't understand what had happened. Just moments ago, when they loaded it into the car, it was a body. Now, it was only gruesome white bones. After that, the car still left the village, vanishing behind a cloud of dust. The case left a big question mark on the investigation. Now, at Myra's house, Daniel was feeling better today, but his mind was still fuzzy. His fever had subsided, but he had developed forgetfulness since that night. He knew nothing of charms or dark magic, being only an honest healer, so he didn't think he had fallen under a spell. He just assumed that forgetfulness was a normal part of old age. As for his daughter, he completely trusted his wife's words, believing Myra had never truly died. The situation continued to repeat itself. During the day, the couple worked on the strawberry farm, returning home in the evening for dinner and rest, while Eleanor went out to catch people, killing them for blood for her daughter to drink. Her actions grew increasingly mysterious as all the deaths targeted those who traveled alone at night, often in secluded areas. Her secret movements were even aided by the demon. She was no different from a flesh-eating demon disguised as a human. The police had gotten involved, but each case was protected by the demon. All traces erased, leaving the entire village terrified and naming the killer the Phantom. From then on, no one dared to walk alone at night. The Phantom continued to kill people. 9 murders had already occurred in the village. The police were furious at the rampant brutality of the killer, but could do nothing more. Were they to stand by and watch? That was impossible. They were determined to ambush and capture this phantom of death. The next day, that night, was a full moon, brightly illuminating the entire countryside. A small boat carrying a young man from another village was paddling on the river. The boat was full of fresh flowers, probably to sell at the temple for pilgrims attending a festival. It was still early, exactly 7:00 p.m., and he was alone on the river. On the bank, 2 men were frog hunting. As soon as they saw him, they called out, "Hey, you there!" He looked around, but saw no one, then looked to the right bank and saw the two men. Thinking they wanted to buy flowers, the young man quickly steered his boat to shore. As he reached the bank, one man asked, "Where are you going, all by yourself?" The young man honestly replied, "I'm taking flowers to sell at the temple." "You look unfamiliar. Are you not from around here?" "Are you not from around here? I'm from the upper village. I heard there's a big festival here, so I brought flowers to sell." "Why don't you sell in your own village? Wherever there are more people, I can sell more, right?" "My village is small and poor, but to be precise," someone ordered them, "so I'm delivering the flowers. Come up here and join us. We're also going to the temple." Hearing this, the young man became suspicious. Why? It's dangerous to travel alone. You don't know, this village has a killer called the Phantom who targets people walking alone. Come with us quickly. Hearing this, he grew more afraid. But not of the killer. Rather of these two men being bad people, trying to lure him since he was a stranger. He remained calm and said, "Thank you, but I can go by boat, and the temple is just ahead." With that, he hastily paddled his boat quickly to the middle of the river. Seeing this, they grumbled after him, "Hey, believe it or not, it's not a simple matter. Even the police have given up." The young man found it increasingly absurd. So he still didn't believe them, and continued drifting on the river, heading straight for the temple. The two men on the bank watched him, then shrugged it off, considering it his fate. Now, alone in his boat, the wind whistled, as if pushing the boat faster. He sat, whistling cheerfully, thinking of the money he would soon earn to treat his mother's illness, his heart filled with anticipation. His mother was sick, and it was just the two of them. Out of love for his mother, he had agreed to deliver flowers to such a distant village. But alas, death itself was already there, ready to claim his life at any moment. At the same time, at the village temple, there were many worshippers, and the lights and torches shone brightly. Despite this, everyone maintained a solemn demeanor. However, some people came to the temple, not for worship. They gathered in a noisy, disorderly crowd, laughing and talking. The young man had also arrived at the temple. Someone had arranged to meet him by the benches to receive the flowers. So he left his boat in the river and went ashore to find them. A well-dressed couple came to meet him. They were the ones who ordered the flowers. He happily led them to the boat. The husband even brought servants to carry the flowers. The job went smoothly, and they paid him an amount of money, not large, but enough to treat his mother's illness. He happily took the money bag and joyfully went back to his boat. As he prepared to push off, a woman with her child came out and said, "Sir, please come and eat with everyone." "Oh, I wouldn't want to trouble you. You must be very hungry." "Yes, that would be nice." The people here, though not wealthy, were very hospitable and thoughtful. So, he went ashore and enjoyed a hearty vegetarian meal. After the meal at the temple, he also heard stories about the phantom killer, which finally made him believe and remember the words of the two men earlier. It turned out they weren't trying to trick him, but were sincerely warning him. He also began to feel scared. His stomach was full, but how was he to get home when it was so late? He couldn't stay at the temple overnight. He didn't know anyone here, so it was difficult to ask for a place to stay. Finally, he decided to look around for any abandoned shrines. Staying there for one night and leaving early in the morning would be the safest. Thinking this, while everyone went into the main hall to listen to the sermon, he hastily left, got into his boat, and paddled away. He paddled his boat to the middle of the river, saw the bright, beautiful moon, and continued to whistle. Guided by the moonlight, he saw that the night scenery here was truly overgrown with dense, wild, and eerie bushes. Suddenly, he remembered the ghost stories his mother used to tell about spirits hiding in deep forests or dense vegetation to capture people. Lost in thought, he was startled by a loud rustling sound in the bushes on the riverbank in front of him. He was scared, but also curious. Suddenly, he saw something white and greenish flickering in the bushes. He quickly steered his boat to the bank, peering in gently. The boat was now very close. In the bright moonlight, he clearly saw a woman in a blue shirt, holding a very large knife, sitting on the body of a man in a white shirt. It turned out, what he saw was the shirts of the two figures peeking out from behind some trees. Panicked, he stumbled, kicking his oar. It fell to the bow of the boat with a loud thud. The woman, startled, slashed the body with her knife, quick as lightning, then hastily grabbed a part of the corpse and vanished into the darkness. The young man, overwhelmed with fear, fainted in his boat, thus escaping harm. None of these said, "Understood. You know,